Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel simply is Discerning What is True. Today's Saturday, January 25th, 2026. The title of the book I'm going to be reading is called Kabbalah and Exodus. The title of the chapter is Instruction on the Divine. And appreciate you being here. Hope that all is well with you. So we're getting to this reading of this particular book, chapter, I should say, of this book, Instruction on Divine. It's not a terribly long chapter as far as I remember. So let's get to it. So he's got something here. I'm not trying to butcher I think this is Bad Bar Elohim El Kol Hatud Berim Hat the Lamor, end quote. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I, Yahweh, your Elohim, brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, end quote. And remember, just make sure you understand this. This is not a literal teaching here. This is what we call esoteric teachings. And so let's try to remember that simply this is not a historical setting or a literal setting. That's not true. Here we see the superal God names at the top of the divine tree, although in the Hebrew text, the word Akanaki, or just Anaki, I should say, or just I, is used instead of the traditional names of Yahweh. And Jewish folklore says Jacob told his children that Anoki was a familiar term used to Abraham and Isaac, and indeed is more intimate title than the word Elora, or I am, is. This name that brought existence and manifestation was used to Moses at the burning bush, but not at Mount Sinai, because the children of Israel could not bear the full mystery of the divine. The other two major divine names traditionally associated with the active, wise, and merciful side, and with the passive understanding and just aspect of divinity, are fused into the composite name Yahweh Elohim, which means translated as the Lord thy God, who now proceeds to give forth the 10 commandments. These follow the sequence of the 10 sephirah of the holy tree, beginning with the crown. The first commandment states, thou shalt have no other gods before me, end quote. This says that only the absolute must be acknowledged as God. The significance of this utterance to the ancient world, which had innumerable deities, was enormous. It not only gave a base to a nation about to be created for the sole purpose of propagating the idea of a single God, but introduced a totally new dimension to the mass of mankind that would affect in due time much of the human race. On the individualized level, this is the realization that nothing, not even the self, can come before I am. Quote, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. This commandment is a warning against being caught by the appearance of things. It means that divinity is not held in an image not it is to be mistaken for existence and for existence itself, because the absolute is above, below, before, and beyond existence. In other words, God is everlasting. Even the image of God is only a reflection. God is God, and there is no thing, end quote, like unto God. So there are many, when I talked to Phil many years ago, well, maybe, all the time we tend to try to, God is no thing. He's nothing, because God does not fit in man's idea of what man thinks God is. He's not a thing, you see. He's nothing, because man has come in and puts his presuppositions in as though they think they know, but they don't know. For I, Yahweh Elohim, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth of them that hate me. And so I'm going to try to explain this if I can understand it somewhat here. What's happened simply is the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth of them. In other words, it has a effect upon the children what the fathers represent, you see. It had even to the third and fourth generation is what I'm thinking here. And showing love and kindness to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments, end quote. This passage speaks of the severity, again, and the mercy extended towards those who ignore or acknowledge divine sovereignty. The word, quote, generation, end quote, does not actually occur in the Hebrew text, but is inserted by translators to make some sense of an apparent incomplete sentence. This suggests that a higher law is being referred to. The punishment of children would seem unjust and inconsistent. The notion of reincarnation or Gilgalim is the most likely explanation. According to the law of transmigration, a person takes his rewards and punishment, or karma, into the next 3 lives. But the mercy of God will extend over thousands. The concept of transmigration is not accepted by all Jews, but it has been part of Kabbalistic teaching for many centuries. Quote, thou shalt not take the name Yahweh Elohim, the Lord thy God, in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain, end quote. Here we have the last of the 3 commandments concerned with divinity itself. Again, those 3 things that happen. Remember that 3 days, 3 is always important in the Bible. In this instruction, in fact, even what we call children's stories, the 3 little bears, the 3 little pigs, again, 3 is emphasized, even in those stories. Here we have the last of the 3 commandments concerned with divinity itself. In this instruction, the names may not be used for any purpose other than addressing oneself to God. To speak of or call upon the divine without realizing whose name is being used values the intimate connection now established between God and man. Such an event is very serious, and therefore the Lord in mercy gives a warning in divine severity to offset taking the holy name, Lasha. That's spelled, I think, Lasha. That's Lashav, end quote, in falsehood or vanity. The rabbis translate, when placed together, these 3 commandments concerning divinity constitute man's correct relationship to God. According to rabbinical tradition, when God spoke of divinity, all the trembling of the 7 earths below and the 7 heavens above ceased, and all the angelical hosts become still, even as all nature fell silent and did not move. So what is that revealing there? The 7 heavens above cease, and the 7 earths below. Is that speaking of the 7 chakras? Possibly. Well, it also says, even as all nature fell silent and did not move. It's though it's in some ways maybe it's revealing what I would call the issue of stillness. Be still and know that I am God. This is in Psalms 32. Because of this event, the dead and the unborn, we are told, realized that a great event was occurring, as did all the nations of the world, and who heard the distant resonance of the divine Decalogue in the language of their own tongues. In this timeless moment, the Torah was delivered to the emerging soul and spirit of mankind. Thus, it is at all the levels within a human being, in this state of revelation, becomes still and listen. Again, it reveals something. It says here, then thus it is at all the levels within a human being, in this state of revelation, revealing, becomes stillness, and become still, and listen, each in his own way, to the impairing of instruction concerning first the relation of man to God, and then that of man to man, which now follow. And these are what I call micro chapters. But anyway, we'll stop here. That's the end of chapter 22. So we'll stop, and we'll reveal some more of this. This was a little over 10 minutes, not that long, is it? We'll try to do the next chapter here, which will be chapter 23. We'll cease this at this point, and we'll come back to it as I come back to it also. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you real soon. Take care.